Jill,
Matt,
welcome.
thank you. How are you?
Well, thanks to you.
Good, thanks. Guys, you are tuning in with Matt and myself today, and I believe that we will be discussing IaaS, which is Infrastructure as a Service, as a model of cloud computing. So I think before we get started with that, let's let Matt lead us in a discussion or an analogy, which I believe you have planned for us, on what is the concept of cloud computing.
Correct. Welcome, audience. Yes, let's touch on an analogy and just a top line of cloud computing. And I think it's important we do it that way specifically because it's quite a broad concept.
Okay.
And there are technicalities behind it, which I won't touch on too much.
Okay.
And cloud computing is often a term that is confused. Or should I say people get confused about the term. And it's overthought of, it's overcomplicated, and everyone will have their different opinions of what the cloud is. So let's use this analogy. Jill, if I can ask you quickly, give me a suburb in South Africa, anywhere in South Africa.
Suburb in South Africa.
Centurion. I knew it was coming.
Centurion.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So what do you find in Centurion? You find Centurion is made up of
lots of houses.
Plenty houses.
Okay.
Thousands of houses.
Different people.
Okay. And horrible traffic.
Yes.
So anyway, but now we look in Centurion, you've got different types of houses. You've got massive houses, you've got smaller houses, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 bedrooms, all different sizes and shapes. Then you've got different amounts of family members that stay in the houses. You've got the houses, the families that have separate budgets, they eat differently, they all have their own needs. And the same applies to businesses all over the world. So what do you do, Jill, when you want water? Or you're going to run a bath, or you just want a glass of water to drink?
I turn on the tap.
You turn on the tap.
Yes.
Was it easy?
I had to stand up, but it was relatively easy, yes.
Yes.
And after I stood up and I turned the tap,
that's a lot of work.
Water came out.
That's a lot of work.
Yes.
Okay. So you had to stand up, you had to go to the tap.
Yes.
Okay. You turned the tap, water came out.
Yes.
So 98% of the time, you have water, no problem.
No problem.
Exactly. So it's an easy thing to do. And Jill, the same thing applies when it comes to cloud computing. Just put that term in an IT term. So it's now having computing resources available on demand with minimal interaction from you, literally turning the tap, which in this instance would represent your servers and your need in the business when it comes to IT. Turn the tap, you can then request more services. So how that works is if you need to fill a bath or you need to fill a little shot glass, it can be done. Or you need someone to fill a swimming pool, you're going to get a big bill, but it can be done.
Okay.
So cloud computing is the same concept. Only now is you don't have to have all this stuff on your house or in your house. Where do the benefits come in with this? And it's quite simple. Gone are the days where, well, I wouldn't say gone are the days, but you look at a lot of companies back in the day, and cloud computing has been around since, well, a very long time. But companies are no longer having to go and buy massive hardware to put this on premises to have their computing resources. There's a lot of risks involved, and number one, it's a very costly thing. Back in the day, you would have a company go and buy a server, just as depending on the size of the organization, go and buy a R1 million server, sit with this server on premise. What happens then? You need someone to maintain that server, and business changes. In 2 years' time, how do you know the business isn't going to be half the size? That server's still there.
You're still carrying that invested capital initially.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that, like you said, capital, and that comes out of capital expenditure. It's R1 million that a company has to take out of their capital to buy that thing. But there's no guarantee that the business is going to actually
maintain.
Yeah, exactly. And
you still need the support to run that? You need an IT manager.
That's electricity.
You need techs.
Exactly, and that's a lot of money.
Okay.
And like I said, if halfway down the line, you don't need all those resources, that is lying there redundant. You can't just get up and say, well, today we only want to use half the server.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that. So now this is where cloud comes in. How do I get these virtual servers where I can access exactly how many resources I need and only pay for what I'm going to use? And that is the whole concept of it. It's a very top line.
Okay. Okay, Matt, so we've covered what is cloud computing as a whole and your
in summary,
your high level and your analogy thereof. Are there different types of cloud?
There's 3 main ones that I'll touch on, and those are your public cloud, which most of us use pretty much every day.
Okay.
And then you've got your private cloud, and then you've got your hybrid cloud. So each one will depend on the business's needs.
Okay.
Which again is not something we'll go into too much detail about. Perhaps we can do that at a later stage.
Okay, great. We will definitely do that for you guys. And then there are also different types of models per type of cloud.
Correct.
Sounds very confusing, so let's simplify it.
And I think that just goes back to what I said in the beginning of the video. You know, it's often a term that is a bit difficult to wrap your head around, you know, because it's so broad. Let's touch on, yes, the different types under the models, if I can put it that way. So you've got infrastructure as a service, which is known as IaaS.
Okay.
Then you've got your platform as a service, which is known as PaaS, and then your software as a service, which is known as
SaaS.
Correct.
Okay. So what would be the benefits for a company to move their business to the cloud or move to the cloud? What are the benefits?
Look, I think firstly it's specific to an organization's need. For some organizations it doesn't make sense, believe it or not. And you know, I think the biggest challenge when it comes to cloud is the whole concept of whether it is secure. This has been going on for a long time. You've got your POPI Act, which is your protection of personal information, and there's certain rules. And that's why I say it's quite important that you understand the business's needs. Some businesses can't share information on a cloud platform, if I can put it that way. But there's a lot of benefits attached to it. And then it's also a thing about how do businesses minimize risks. Number one, there's a benefit of how quickly can you deploy a server or computing resources via the cloud. And I can tell you now, you can do that a lot quicker than what you would be able to instead of going and buying all the stuff, hardware. Again, you've got capital expenditure, putting that on site, getting someone to go and set that up, hours setting it up, and maintaining it, and making sure all the updates are done, and all the software is loaded, and all the maintenance is done. This can be done by a cloud provider very, very easily. Again, turn on your tap, I need more resources, or whatever the case might be, and there we go. So that's number one benefit.
Okay.
Number two, the cost. The cost involved. It's a monthly billing. In most cases, it's a monthly billing.
And you only pay for what you use?
Well, exactly. If your organization needs so much computing resources, you shouldn't have to pay for more. You know, instead of sitting, you go and buy hard drives with 10 terabytes of storage where your business only needs 5, you've actually paid for that 10 terabytes of storage. You know, it's not to say that your business is going to not need it in the future, but there's no guarantee around that.
Okay.
So instead, let me pay for 5, and when I need 6, let me pay for 6, and when I need 7, I'll pay for 7.
Okay.
That type of thing. So yes, that's another benefit. And then the risk. You must remember that cloud providers are specialists in this field. This is what they do. This is their business. And they're professionals. They've got everything set up. They've got all the security measures in their data centers. And I can assure you now that your data is a lot safer with them than what it is on your own on premises. You know, there's risks. There's theft, which is rife in this country, unfortunately. There's internal staff that could potentially go and steal something or jeopardize something. There's hacking. There's the risk of fire, you know, and all these kind of things that play a role in this. Whereas the data centers have hectic security procedures in place. They're the professionals. They know how to do this.
So leave it to the professionals.
Businesses are supposed to make money. That's what they're there for. That's what they want to do. It's all of our objective at the end of the day. Why should they have to worry about those kind of things when it can be done by a specialist who can do it for you, and while you focus on what's important in the business.
Okay, and I know that this is a department in About IT, so I was hoping that you could maybe name 1 or 2 cloud-based solutions that About IT provides for our clients and new clients.
Yeah, so Jill, at the moment we focus on the the one model, and that is your infrastructure as a service.
IaaS?
So, correct,
Okay.
IaaS. So we offer our clients server hosting.
Okay.
So same concept. The client doesn't have to go and buy the server and put that on site or whatever the case might be. We will then host your server for you in a secure data center. It's very easy to set up. Again, it's monthly billing, and we can host whatever applications you do need. So that's the one form. That's the IaaS. It's easy to choose how much computing resources you need based on what you need to be hosted on the server, and then you will pay for that. And if you need more down the line, it's as simple as just provisioning more, turning on the tap. If I can put it that way. And then on top of that, we've also got our cloud backups, our about IT cloud backups, which is also what we offer. So we apply that on top of our IaaS. So that is then taking your information and making sure that it is backed up. And in the case of a disaster, that you have the ability to get that information back.
Disaster recovery.
Correct, disaster recovery.
Okay, cool. Wow. We've covered a lot already. So,
I think so.
In a nutshell, cloud computing?
I think it's the way to go.
Cool. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll tune in with you guys again next time when we go into these different types of cloud computing and different models of the types of cloud computing in more detail. We'll tune in with you again.
See you in the cloud.
Bye.